Okay. ביאור משנה ה' משנתנו באה ללמד, our Mishnah comes to teach, שיכול אדם בשעת הצורך, this is an interesting part. What if you're not sure where you want to go? Maybe you want to go east, maybe you want to go west. You want to give your options open. Yeah? You want to give your option. Now, you can't give your option open east to west. Because if it's the east that you want, then you have 2,000 amah from there. And if it's the west that you want, you're already 4,000 amah away.
Not from the house.
Yeah, but from your dwelling place. This is your dwelling place. So you can choose either east or west. You cannot say, I want to make an Eruv to the east and to the west. Maybe you can say, I'll give you an...
And then maybe you can say, I will decide on Shabbos which way I'm walking.
That's exactly. I tell you what you can do.
Like an option.
Yeah, I tell you what you can do. You can put 1,000 amah out of the city limit, Eruv, on the east, 1,000 amah out of the city on the west. Yeah, and then you can walk maybe the 2,000. No, it's not going to help you. You can walk another 1,000 amah extra over here and another 1,000 amah extra over here above the 2,000. But it will not.
It's not above the 2,000.
So it's 3,000. You'll have 3,000 maybe on each way. That's what I'm saying. You have the 1,000 plus 2,000 more on this side. The 1,000 plus 2,000 more. Maybe even that you can't do. I don't know. We'll see. So it says like this. Matne Adam al Iruvo. A person is allowed to make a condition on his Eruv. So we already understand one thing. He can only use one. You see it from here. He can only use one, but he can decide when he uses it. The question is when.
Which way to go.
Yeah, which way to go. Which doesn't make sense so much because we learned up to now, our logic is when Shabbos comes in, it needs to catch. So what do you mean you decided later on which one caught? That's hard to understand, but let's see if we can understand it.
Shneim kosher.
No, only one of them can be kosher. If this is kosher, this is not kosher. If this is kosher, this is not kosher. So when Shabbos came in, decide. What do you mean?
Let's think. Why can't you do two Eruvim?
It's your dwelling place. Where are you going to be? You can't be...
Why can't you have two dwelling? You have three. Actually, your house.
No.
You got it out of dwelling now. You put the Eruv. Now is your dwelling.
The Eruv is, you're saying, by making an Eruv, you're saying, this is where I dwell. This is my house. That's what you're saying. This is my house for this Shabbos. That's what you're saying. All right, but let's see, they probably understand. It's probably explain. Maniach Adam Shnei Eruvim be'erev Shabbat. A person puts two Eruvim before Shabbat. כגון אחד בסוף 2,000 אמה מעירו לצד מזרח. He puts 2,000 אמה for the east. ואחד בסוף 2,000 אמה מצד מערב. And one 2,000 אמה to the west. הוא מתנה עליהם. And he makes a condition. And this is the condition. We already know the rule. There's a rule. The rule is you're only allowed to use Eruv for a mitzvah. You can't just do it for fun. So you have to have a mitzvah. So what's the condition? Let's see. ואומר, אם באו גויים מן המזרח, it says if the enemy is going to come from the east, an enemy is going to come, the goyim come from the east, אם יוודע לו שבאו גויים בשבת מצד מזרח, וארצה לברוח לפניהם לצד מערב, and I will want to run to the west, עירובי למערב, then I'm going to make my עירוב to the west. יקנה לי שביתה בין השמשות עירובי של מערב. I want the בין השמשות to catch the one on the west. ולאו זה שהוא המזרח. And not that is in the east. You see, it's very specific. You cannot have both. I only want the west and I don't want the east. ואם יוודע לי שבאו גויים מן המערב, and if I will know that the goyim come from the west, מצד המערב שלו, עירובי למזרח, then I want the עירוב to be to the east. יקנה לי שביתה, עירובי של המזרח, then the east one is going to be my home. ולא זה של מערב, and not the one in the west. ואם באו מכאן ומכאן, and if they came from both places, now why do you need to find both places?
It's good.
No, he still...
He can go to his Eruv. If they come from here and from here.
Oh.
He's in the city.
Very good.
He did his Eruv on those two, so he can go either this or either this.
But maybe now you're going to have the problem that you have like two Eruvin, and they cancel your ability to get out of the city at all. That can also be. We already had this problem. You remember before in the Mishnah with Rabbi Yehuda that says you're not allowed to go out of city limits?
Yeah.
So he's afraid also over here, maybe now that I have two or I don't have any, and I'm supposed to be there in one of them, then maybe I cancelled my ability to move out of the city limits. So that's why he's having the third one. Let's see. Ve'im ba'u mikan u'mikan, and if they came from here and from here, also from the east, also from the west, lemakom she'ertze elech, I can go to any place I want. In other words, I can still go the 2,000 amah to any other direction. In other words, I didn't cancel out the regular city limits. Like, whatever the logic is, which we're not sure yet, why we cancel, but there is some logic to say that maybe it's cancelled.
Like the guy that somebody ate it, or
that's right. That's right. ולא באו לא מכאן ולא מכאן, and if they did not come, not from here, not from there, הריני כבני עירי, then I am going to be considered just like a city dweller, שלא הניחו עירוב, that there is no עירוב at all, and therefore יש להם הפעם אמה בכל העיר לכל רוח. Therefore they have 2,000 אמה from the city to any direction. I can make it easy. I don't know.
I have a question before.
Yeah.
Why do you need them to do Eruv?
Oh.
Neither to the right or neither to the Ma'arach
Yeah.
or Mizrach. You say, I don't do Eruv. I can go 2,000 here, 2,000 south, north.
Because with an Eruv you can go 4,000 in one direction.
So it does the 2,000 and then from there you have another 2,000.
Let's make it easy.
So you run far away.
Yeah. By the way, if he runs from the enemy, he can run anyway. It's not a problem. It's just an example.
Okay.
Yeah. But let's make it easy. Let's say, I'm not sure if what I'm saying is correct, but to make it easy understanding, and then it's going to be easier to understand the previous Mishnah. If you put 2,000 amah on this direction, then we're going to let you, this is your dwelling place now, which we let you go all the way to the city, and we let you use all the city, because the city is one thing, but we're not going to let you out of the city limit on this direction.
Yeah.
And then it makes sense with the other Mishnah. I'm not sure I'm correct in what I'm saying, but at least it will make sense with the other Mishnah. So over here, that's what it's doing. Right? Because if I'm taking this 2,000 amah, then it means I cannot go out 2,000 amah. So it says, no. I can still be a city dweller without the two Eruvin to go any direction I want. I think that's the logic behind it. And I am not sure that I'm correct in what I said about the Eruv in the city limit to go the other direction. We'll have to keep it to see if it's correct or not. But it makes sense a little bit. הריני כבני עירי שלא הניחו עירוב, I'm just like my city, like any city dweller without an עירוב at all, and therefore I have 2,000 amah to each direction. הטעם שיכול להתנות כך, it says, now comes the problem. What do you mean? When Shabbos comes in, it's caught. It's caught. I think that's what he's asking. לפי שאנו אומרים בעירובי תחומים, יש ברירה. Brilliant. There's a concept in Hebrew, in halacha, called brera. What's brera? I think in English it's called retrospective, that you can go back. Like if you did something, I think it's called something, let's say retroactive. So I can kick it in on Shabbos retroactively to where I want it to be. There's a concept in Eruvin, there's such a concept. How do you say it? Retroactively. This is brera.
Like I'm going to activate it. I did it, but it's going to be activated.
That's right.
Later.
I have the ability to activate it later. This is what the brera means. There's a brera. יש ברירה, כלומר, which means שבהתאם לתנאו הוברר הדבר למפריע. It says, he made a condition. Now, the condition kicks in according to his condition, even on Shabbos. It shows me on Shabbos that בין השמשות, this was it.
Okay. So now we have a choice.
He has a choice, that's right.
That I don't know yet.
I don't know yet, yeah. But I can tell you that when it kicked in before Shabbos. Even though I'm on Shabbos right now, it's retroactively kicking in.
And the choose that he have to do between the two Eruvin, he can do it on Shabbos itself, not before Shabbos.
That's the retroactive.
That's the retroactive.
איזה עירוב קנה לו שביתה בין השמשות. Which one he bought between השמשות. וכן מתנה אדם על עירובו, and also he makes a condition on his עירוב, כדי ללכת, so we gave the example, we said any mitzvah. So here he gives the mitzvah of running from the enemy. But it says it doesn't have to be just pikuach nefesh, it can be anything. You want to...
It's a mitzvah to run from right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't. I think it's an example. I don't think that's why it's the only reason. Yeah. כדי ללכת זכות לתחום לשמוע דרשה מפי חכם. If a big rabbi comes to the next town and you want to hear the rabbi's speech, you're going for a mitzvah. Yeah. So you can make an eruv for that. And what's the problem? Make an eruv. Because I don't know if he's coming from this direction or from that direction. I heard he's coming to town. I don't. In the old times there was no phones.
Yeah, it was town here and the town
exactly.
here. Say, we don't know. Maybe he comes here.
That's right. שאין ידוע מאיזה צד יבוא. He doesn't know from which direction the rabbi is going to come. ואומר, אם בא חכם מן המזרח, it says, if the sage is going to come from the east, וידרוש חוץ לתחום עברו במזרח, and is going to give a class outside of the city limit in the east of the city, עירובי למזרח, then I'm going to make my עירוב to the east. יקנה לי שביתה, that will be my home. עירובי שבצד מזרח, my עירוב that's on the east. יקנה לי עירובי שבצד מערב. עירובי למערב, and if it was for the west, that it will buy the west, בא לכאן ולכאן, אם באו שני חכמים. Now comes the problem. What happens if Rabbi Yoshua came to the east and Rabbi Meir came to the west?
He can choose where to go.
Can he?
Because
you say it's retrospective, let's say.
Unless he did this on a particular chacham שיבוא.
That's it. בא לכאן ולכאן, אם באו שני חכמים, אחד מזרח ואחד מצד מערב, he says, למקום שארצה אלך. It's exactly like whichever one is always going for a mitzvah, you can do that retrospective thing, retroactive thing. יקנה לי עירובי באותו צד שארצה לחשוב שבת. לא לכאן ולא לכאן, and you still have the thing. If it's not to here and not to here,
you have the city.
At least, and you have 2,000 amma from the city. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the one side of the city because your Eruv would negate it. You only have 2,000 amma on one direction.
And why does it nullify? Because the chacham didn't come, or he didn't go.
In other words, I'm saying none of the Eruvs I dwelt in. I'm not catching any of the Eruvs. Retroactively, I'm not catching any of the Eruvs.
But if you said that the chacham will come from the south or the east, and I'll go there, and then the chacham come to the east, and you don't go there. Now you said that you say something that your dwelling is still there, no? Yeah,
and therefore you were not allowed to go to the west.
If over there 2,000 amma.
At all, because you are in the east. You live over there now. They let you walk within the city limit. If he gives the speech out of the city limit, even 2 meters, you cannot go. You only can go to the side that you live over here, they tell you. What are you talking about? How do you want to go over there? You have 2,000 amma, and then once you enter the city, you have the entire city, but not more. Okay. You're using more than what you need. Yeah. So, but he's going to say, no, I don't have this one, and I don't have this one. Because I heard he's coming from the north now. He's in a city in the north, which is within 2,000 amma, and I want to go there. So he's allowed to go there. לא בא חכם לא מצד מזרח ולא מצד מערב, הרי אני כבני עירי. If it didn't come from this side, not come from this side, I didn't catch any of my עירובs, and I'm just like the people of my city. כאילו לא הנחתי עירוב, it's like I didn't put an עירוב anywhere, ויש לי 2,000 אמה לכל רוח מחוץ לעיר. And then I can go 2,000 אמה to every direction, not just the direction of the עירוב. רבי יהודה אומר, Rabbi Yehuda says you can't play such tricks. You can play the tricks, you're right, but not in every situation. There are some situations you cannot say this. Why? אם היה אחד מהם רבו, if one of them was your rabbi, and the other one was not your rabbi, it says you have to go to the side of the rabbi. And if your rabbi didn't come this Shabbos, you made an Eruv on the east. Yeah? You cannot use the other one. In other words, you'll have to use the one of your rabbis. Yeah. אם באו שני חכמים, אחד מצד אחד מזרח ואחד מצד מערב, one from the east, one from the west, ואחד מהם הוא רבו, and one of them is his rabbi, הוא הולך אצל רבו. He's forced, you cannot make this decision retroactively. You have to go to the side of your rabbi. It's not up to you, it's up to the halacha. ולא אצל האחר. Why? לפי שמן הסתם דעתו בין השמשות שיקנה לו העירוב באותו צד שרבו ידרוש שמה. Because we are assuming that you're a normal human being, and a normal human being is going to go to his rabbi to hear the drasha and not the other rabbi. ואם היו שניהם רבותיו, and if they were both his rabbis, ואפילו אחד מהם רבו מובהק, even one is his special, there's a definition of Rav and Rav Muvhak. Now, what's the Rav? Rav Muvhak is the Rav that you learned most of your understanding from. You know, this is the guy. Yeah. Yeah. Or there's many rabbis. Sometimes, you know, in yeshiva, you don't learn from only Rabbi. There's 20 rabbis, but you know, this is my. There's one Muvhak. So it says, what happens if a Rav Muvhak and a regular Rav comes, but both your Rav, they're both your teachers. So it says, maybe you can say this is, again, you have to go to Rav Muvhak. So it says no. ואם היו שניהם רבותיו, ואפילו אחד מהם רבו מובהק, even if one of them was his special rabbi, was his main rabbi like it says, he can still go למקום שירצה. He doesn't have to go to his rabbi, he can go to his other rabbi, even though he's not the main rabbi. But he has to be his rabbi, because if he's not his rabbi at all, he's not allowed to go. In other words, Rabbi Akiva is coming from this side, and your rabbi is coming from that side, you have to go to your rabbi. But if your rabbi and the other rabbi in yeshiva are coming, you can choose which rabbi. כפי שאתנה, אבל חכמים סוברים, but the sages says, שאפילו אחד מהם רבו ילך למי שירצה. The sages says, even if one of them is your rabbi, Rav Muvhak, you can still go to whichever one you want. Why? It says, what's the logic? In other words, we don't care. We said before that we are going to assume that you wanted to go to your rabbi. Your Chachamim says not necessarily. Many times people want to hear something which is specifically not the rabbi. They want to hear a different kind of thinking. Yeah. Your rabbi has a specific kind of thinking. You already understand him. You already know him. A lot of people sometimes are interested. I wonder how he's learning. Yeah, how does it work over there? So they want to hear something from a different angle. Let's call it. לפי שירצה שפעמים מעדיף אדם הקבלת פני חברו על הקבלת פני רבו. Sometimes a person prefers his friend on his rabbi. Not what I said, it's a different thing. It's not because he's your, you want to hear a different kind of understanding, it's because he's your friend and the other rabbi is not your friend, it's just a rabbi. Oh. That's the way they explained over here according to the Gemara. בעל תפארת ישראל, the בעל תפארת ישראל, כותב שמשתתנו נקטה שתי דוגמאות, that Mishnah said two examples, the two examples of a rabbi coming and an enemy coming. Right? That's the two examples he's talking about. Rabbi and an enemy. להשמיענו, to teach us, שבין כשהוא רוצה לברוח, that whether you want to run away, ונמצא שאם באים גויים מצד אחד, and we find that the enemy is coming from one direction, הוא צריך שיקנה לו עירובו מצד האחר. He has a necessity that his Eruv is going to buy him on in the opposite direction. ובין שהוא רוצה להקביל פני חכם, and whether he wants to go towards the sage, והוא מקנה שיקנה לו העירוב באותו צד שבא שם החכם, and he wants the עירוב that on the direction of the sage. בשניהם אנו אומרים יש ברירה. It says, why does it need the two examples? It says one example is enough. It says not necessarily. Because you might think,
when you're running away, you're afraid.
So it says, when I'm running away, it means I don't want this one. The fact that you don't want this one doesn't necessarily mean that you bought that one. When you're running towards it, when the sage comes, you're going towards it, you're saying, I want this one. When you're running away, you don't say, I don't want this one. You're saying, I want
the other one.
I don't want this one, you're saying. So it says on both ways, whether you don't want something, that's why you take the other one. Whether you want it, it still buys. Otherwise you would think, otherwise you would think only when you're running towards something.
In other words, if you tell them, I don't want the other Eruv, that means that you want that Eruv. And if you run to this Eruv,
that's for sure you
want this Eruv.
Yeah.
The two ways.
But it says if they only say the sages, if you only say, bring the sages example, somebody might say, hey, do you know why you bought this one? Because you wanted it. You know why when the enemy came, you bought the one on the east, the enemy came from the west? Because you didn't want the west. And maybe that's not enough to buy me this one. So they say that's why they said it on both ways, to know that it doesn't matter how, you still bought it wherever you bought it. Okay. ויש כותבים, and there are those who write, לפי שדרך העולם לברוח מפני גויים פני ליסטים, it's the way of the world to run from the enemies, from the other nations, ולצאת לקראת חכם ללמוד תורה, and to go towards the חכם to learn Torah. לפיכך נקטה משנתנו דוגמאות האלו, and some say, no, that's not the reason. It's because that's the way. In other words, there's a halacha that we say many times, that the Mishnah, you remember we learned halacha, that the Mishnah is very accurate, and the Torah is very accurate. It's never, you don't add one word in it. And it says many times in the Mishnah and in the Chumash and in the Gemara tells you a story. And when it tells you a story, you can say it longer a little bit because it's telling you a story. So it says, that's exactly what they're saying here. It's a story. It's just giving you the example. Don't learn out of it. Exactly. So that's a story. Yeah.